Hello, this is a video about how you normally breed zebra finches. Zebra finches are Australian native birds. They're quite easy to breed. You can breed them either in an aviary system or in an individual cage system. Either way, they're quite easy to breed. If you're going for an individual cage system, make sure you provide enough space for them to fly around and nest, and provide them with a nesting box. If you're not providing an nesting box, they will start lay eggs even in the feeding trays. Nesting box doesn't need to be a fancy one. You can just provide a normal box with a perch. Usually the males sit on the top of the breeding box, and the females will sit on the eggs. It is also very important that you provide them with enough nesting materials. It can be anything like coconut husk, shredded paper, or hay. If you don't provide them with nesting materials, what they normally do, especially the females, can pluck their feathers and put them in the cage. So it's a bit difficult and traumatic to watch, so it's always provide them with nesting materials. Now, how do you normally identify their gender? It's quite easy to identify their gender. Males will have an orange marking on their cheek with a bright orange beak, while the females only will have a line on their cheek with a duller beak. When you select a breeding pair, you have to make sure that the female bird is at least 8 months old. Even though the female birds can start lay their eggs from the age of 6 months, it is always advisable to keep them until the age of 8 months before you breed them. Zebra finches lay their eggs daily. They can lay up to 8 eggs a clutch. 3 to 8 eggs a clutch is the normal. And they sit on their eggs after they have laid 3 eggs. Incubation period is more like 12 days. And once they hatched, they will be fully weaned in 21 days. They're quite quick. Once the chicks are weaned off, you have to remove all the nesting materials out from the nesting box. Zebra finches has a tendency to breed 365 days, so you have to make sure you provide them with enough breaks. So how do you normally do that? You don't let them breed during the winter time, and also make sure you remove all the nesting materials and the nesting box out from their cage during the break time. And also do not provide a feeding tray. Looks more like a nesting box. It is also very important that you change the location of the feeding trays so that it doesn't think that it's their nesting box and start laying their eggs in there. Now let's talk about their food. It's very important that you provide soft food during the breeding process. They cannot keep their chicks alive just by providing them seeds. So you have to give them egg foods, veggies, and also grated carrots and apples. They're not fussy eaters. They can eat pretty much everything. So you can just have a lot of soft food options and provide them with that so that they stay healthy. Now, I got to warn you about some bad things about zebra finches. They are quite dominant birds. If you're keeping them in an aviary with other finches, especially like golden finches and star finches, they don't let them breed happily. They normally go to their breeding boxes and steal their nesting materials and crack their eggs and disturb them quite easily. So keeping them in an aviary with other birds breeding in it, it's not a good idea. So if you're keeping them in an aviary system, keep the other birds in a separate cage when they are breeding. Apart from that, they're very delight to watch. They are very active birds. They can take on any birds, even like a cockatiel or a budgie. It's not ideal to keep them with hooked bills, but if you are keeping any finch with hooked bills, it will be only zebra finches. They are the bravest of them all, and they're good birds to watch. Now, there are some important things to keep in your mind when you're keeping zebra finches. They can be stressed quite easily. Even loud noises like cracker or even a cat trying to catch them will stress them out, and they die quite easily. Sometimes when it comes to breeding, even though they're quite easy to breed, there are some occasions they won't start breeding until they're very late. You don't get worried about it. They will start laying egg eventually, but you give them some time. They usually live up to 6 to 8 years if you're keeping them properly and healthy in your aviary, but in outside world, like in the native, they only live up to 3 years. So if you're carrying them well, you're going to have long-living zebra finches, and they will make your life more beautiful. They're lovely birds to have in your cage, quite easy to breed, but make sure you do not overbreed them, because that's one of the causes for them to die quite easily. So make sure you don't overbreed them, give them enough break, and I hope the video is helpful. Thank you for your time. Bye.